Hello, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about functions. And like always, I have some code snippets here. And what I want you to do is figure out what the output would be without actually running the code. All right, so as always, we're going to be starting off by drawing our memory map images. So I have our first function here. And as always, we start by drawing our call stack. I don't like the way this line looks. Better. Okay. So now we have our call stack, and if you remember, in our previous videos, I mentioned that our variables and our function calls all go on this call stack. So first we define our function, and then we execute this line. So we create a string, and the string has a character array. So Python. Okay. And then we create a variable s, and we point to this string. Okay, so that's the first line. Now this second line, we make our function call and we pass in s. So we put our function call on the call stack, and then we have our parameter s. So this s over here is actually not the same as this s. They are two different variables that just happen to have the same name. And the way this works is we have something called scope. So in programming, this s over here belongs only within the scope of this function. So when we pass in our s into our function, we're not passing in a variable, we're passing in a reference from that variable. So what we're actually passing in is this string that is referenced by the first s. So now within our function we execute this line, and if you remember, strings are not mutable, so we would have to create a new string with its own character array. So we have Python all in lowercase. And then now we take our red marker and we remove the reference from the parameter. And now s is equal to this string, which is s.lower. And then before we exit our function, we have to print, right? So inside function, s is equal to Python in lowercase. And now we finished our function call, and we run this print statement. So outside function, s is equal to Python, but in uppercase. And that's the answer for our first code snippet. All right, so moving on to the second one. Once again, we draw our call stack, and we have our list object. So we have an int 1 and an int 5. We create our variable list, and we point it to this list object. Now we have our function call. So our function is func2, and we have our list parameter. And remember, once again, it's within the scope of this function. And when we pass in list, we're actually passing in the object that's referenced by list. So this one. And then now our first line within the function, we call list.append 100. So list, this one, list. So it's this list object, and we append 100. And then after that, we change the reference. We create another list and assign it to list. So this one. So we create another list. And it has the values 3, 6, and 12. And we take our red marker. This list variable inside the function is no longer pointing to 1, 5, and 100. It's pointing to 3, 6, 12. And then we run our print statement. So inside function lst is equal to 3, 6, 12. And our function call ends there, and we run this print statement. Actually, there's a typo here. This should be lst, but outside function lst is 1, 5, 100. Alright, so that's the answer for our second problem. And if we go back and we run this, we get inside function as Python lowercase, outside function as Python uppercase. That's what we had over here. And then for the second one, we get inside function lst is 3, 6, 12, and outside is 1, 5, 100, which is what we have here, 3, 6, 12, and 1, 5, 100. So that's how functions work in memory. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.